So I grew up with kind of the assumption that I would serve a mission. My mom served a mission, and so there wasn't any like, oh, like your brothers will serve and then maybe you'll serve. Like it was always just kind of assumed. And I didn't want to commit when I was a kid, but growing up I was like, well, when I get 21, I'll figure that out. And then I was watching General Conference with my roommates my sophomore year, and I was 19. I just turned 19 over the summer, and President Monson lowered the age. And I was like, wow, we can serve now if we want. And, there was kind of that, like, just that panic and excitement and movement, and everybody's like, well, what are you going to do? Well, what are you going to do? And I thought about it, but looking back, I realized that there was never any question of whether or not I'd go. Just the spirit that I felt when he announced it. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going. And just the only question was really when, like whether to go at Christmas or whether to finish out the year and then go. And so that was just, I don't know, it just kind of happened. So I was living with my roommates, right? And I got my mission call, and they let me get it from the mailbox, but then they hid it from me because they were like, you can't open it ahead of time. And we had some friends come over and everything to open it. And I don't know, like, it wasn't that I wasn't excited, just it was so much emotion. I was like, okay, like this is happening, and I just couldn't process it all. And so I opened the call, and we actually did take a video of me opening it, and you can see like my eyes just go like when I get to the part where it says Brazil, because I was convinced I was going to go stateside because I wanted so badly to go foreign. I was like, that's not going to happen. I'm going to have to learn to be content with stateside or whatever. And I just never in a million years thought South America ever. Never. And like nobody did. And so I got to Brazil, and it was just like, wait, really? It was just kind of, I don't know, all of us were surprised, I think, my whole family. But, and yeah, like after opening the call, I was like, okay, like I tried imagining myself in Brazil and I couldn't. I'm like, what is Brazil like? And my family was like looking up Google Maps, like the street view of the MTC or whatever in Sao Paulo. And it was just hard to wrap my mind around. But then once I got there, though, like, months later, once I actually like got my visa and got to Brazil, it was just, I don't know, like looking back on it, it was the place for me. It was right. I just went to the Provo MTC. What happens is if you don't get they assume you're going to go to Sao Paulo MTC, and they give you extra time after getting your call to like make time for like the visa and like for all the papers to go through. But the Brazilian bureaucracy is really, really slow. And also sometimes they hate America, and so that's on again, off again. And so like, I think like a month or so before, or like a couple weeks before I was supposed to go into the MTC, my state president called and said, I've been reassigned to the Provo MTC because my visa hadn't come through yet. And so I went to Provo, and then we were there with like a bunch of different stakes, or like districts of other missionaries going to Brazil. And all the other districts started to get people who got their visa, and they went to the Sao Paulo MTC, and we're all like, what's happening? Our district is barren, like nobody's getting their visa. And then finally, I think 4 weeks in, I got my visa. They called me down to the travel office of the Provo MTC, and I got my visa, and I got my itinerary for like my flight to Sao Paulo. And since there was only a couple weeks left, they just had me stay in Provo. And the next week, my district leader got his visa, and so we traveled together with some other missionaries to Brazil to go to the mission home to start.